Welcome to the Daily Holy Story. The Sultan of Egypt ruled over the whole land, and he had as his advisor and his personal physician Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, the famous Maimonides. Many times Rambam treated the Sultan and saved his life, and the Sultan loved him dearly. However, the non-Jewish ministers of the king, of the Sultan, were very jealous of Rambam. And many times they would go to the king and try to get the king not to like Rambam. But the Sultan, of course, would not listen to them because he knew Rambam was a loyal physician and servant to him. One day, one of the ministers who really despised Rambam went over to the Sultan and told him, everybody knows that you love Rambam very much, but you have to know, he's not as loyal as you think. He is now planning something against you, and he wants to overthrow you and poison you. Of course, the Sultan didn't want to listen, didn't want to hear, but that minister kept saying the same thing over and over until the Sultan was doubtful. On the one hand, he knew Rambam loved him and took care of him. On the other hand, maybe Rambam switched. Maybe he found somebody else that he likes. Maybe he really does want to poison me. So the Sultan decided he's going to put Rambam to the test. He's going to have Rambam be the one to decide whether or not he should live or die. He would take 2 pieces of paper and put them in a box, and one he would write to life. On the other one, he would write to death. And Rambam will pick one out of the box, and whichever one he picks, that's what his lottery will be. So, the king hired the scribe to write the notes. And the minister who hated Rambam went to the scribe and told him to write on both notes to death. And so he did. He put the 2 notes without the Sultan's knowledge into the box, and they both said to death. Rambam was summoned by the Sultan, not knowing anything. And the Sultan told him, it was told to me that you want to poison me. Rambam told the Sultan, come on, my dear Sultan, you know how loyal I am to you? He said, yes, I do. However, Lashon Hara has its effect, and I have my doubts. So because of that, I decided that you will decide what will be with you. You will put your hand in the box and pick one note. If it says to life, you live. If it says to death, you die. Well, when Rambam came to the Sultan, the scribe looked at him with an evil smile and told him, today is your final day. You are going to die today. When Rambam looked at the minister who snitched on him falsely, and he realized he had an evil smile, he figured out that in that box, both notes say to death. So Rambam put his hand in the box, took out the note, and immediately put it in his mouth and swallowed it. Everybody was shocked. What did he do? Rambam turned to the Sultan and said, my dear Sultan, if the note I took is to life, then the one that's in the box says to death. And if the note I took and swallowed is to death, then the one that's left in the box is to life. And I took the wrong one. Right away, the king went into the box and took out the note, and it said to death. So then he got angry at the minister who snitched on Rambam, and he told him, now I'll put you to death. The minister said, no, this is not justice. It's not a real lottery. Why not? He asked the king. He said, because Rambam knew that note says to death in the box. How would Rambam know that? He said to the minister. That's not possible. He said, because both notes said to death. What, said the king? You tried to fool me and Rambam? Put him to death, he told his men, and put the scribe to death. And they were both hung, and Rambam lived, and the king loved him even more and more. And we see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu protects and saves the tzaddikim from anything bad. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.